a bigger impact on the economy? Let's call this the G and this is the C. What would have a bigger impact on the economy? The tax cut of 100 billion or the increase of government spending in 100 billion? Government spending. Why?
Because they just take some of that tax, we're trying to save it.
Oh, so you're saying if I cut taxes, right, what do I change? A tax cut is going to, did it open it up?
Yeah.
A tax cut is going to change, so I cut taxes, that's going to change what? It's going to change C, but before it changes C, how does it affect the economy initially? I cut taxes and what changes to you? Yes, your disposable income goes up, right? Your disposable income goes up by 100 billion, right? Cut your taxes by 100 billion, then what do you have in your pocket? 100 billion more dollars. Now, how much of it are you going to spend?
More MPS.
How much? It depends on what?
MPC and MPS.
The MPC. Now, what does the MPC stand for? Marginal propensity to consume. What is that? What is the marginal propensity to consume?
It's the percentage of your income.
It's the percentage of what kind of income?
Disposable.
Additional. Additional income. So the marginal propensity to consume is the percentage of additional income that a person is going to spend. So now what's happening here is we cut your taxes 100 million, right? We cut your taxes 100 million. How much additional income do you have? Well, 100 million, right? Your disposable income went up by 100 million. How much are you going to spend there? Whatever your marginal propensity to consume is. Let's say the marginal propensity to consume is equal to 0.8. How much of this additional 100 billion would therefore be spent? 80. So $80 billion in new spending. Now, that $80 billion in new spending is going to be new spending that's going to go into people's hands, and then they're going to have new money, and it's going to go into somebody else's hand, and they're going to have new money, and this is called what?
Multiplier.
The multiplier effect, right? Now, if I wanted to know exactly how much impact in the total GDP, in the total output, after all the rounds of spending occur, how much impact this 80 billion will have, right? How would I figure that out? I'd take this 80 billion times something. Times what? The multiplier. How do I figure out the multiplier? 1 over 1 minus the MPC equals the multiplier, right? Now, if I use that formula and the MPC was 0.8, what would the multiplier be? 5. So then 80 times 5 equals 400? 400 billion. So then the net impact of this $100 billion tax cut would be a $400 billion change in aggregate demand and output here, correct? Yes? Now, how much would the change in government spending be? It is 100 billion in government spending times what? No? Times, what's the multiplier? 5. Times 100 billion equals 500 billion. Right? So what's bigger, 500 billion or 400 billion? 500 billion. So then a change in government spending is going to have a bigger impact than a change in taxation. Right? Now, Vitale kind of alluded to something there. Right? Sometimes that multiplier is called the simple multiplier. Right? The simple multiplier or the spending multiplier. Right? There's another multiplier. And for some reason or another, there's always a lot of questions about this. They say, well, okay, what's going to, the questions kind of come down this way. What's going to have a bigger impact on the economy? A $1 increase in government spending or a $1 reduction in taxes? What's the answer? $1 increase in government spending. Why? Because the $1 change in taxation is going to change your income. When your income changes, some of the additional income you are going to save. Right? Now, there also is discussion of something called a balanced budget multiplier. What's the balanced budget multiplier always equal to? 1. Now, you can see that here. If I did this, if I raised taxes by 100 billion instead of lowering them, so if I spent 100 billion more dollars and I raised taxes by 100 billion, what would be the net impact on the economy? Well, it's kind of easy to figure out. And the reason it's easy to figure out, we know if we lower taxes by 100 billion, then it's going to affect the economy, right? The level of economic activity is going to go up by 400 billion. If I raise taxes, then it's going to go down by 400 billion. And if at the same time I spend 100 billion on government spending, it's going to go up by 500. What's the difference? Did you say 100 billion? 100 billion. Okay. What's 1 times 100 billion? 100 billion. No matter what I did, no matter how I figured it out, if I said, okay, I'm going to spend $10 more and tax more $10 more, the impact would be an increase in economic activity of $10 more, right? So then what we're saying is you take the change in government spending and multiply it times 1. And what's that called? Balanced budget multiplier, right? Okay, now, the budget is a big deal in fiscal policy. It's a big deal in fiscal policy. Now, there'll inevitably be multiplier questions on the test. There'll be questions on the test that just want you to acknowledge that there is a multiplier. And there may be questions on the test where you kind of have to figure out what the multiplication should be. So you probably should memorize the 1 over 1 minus the MPC. Because there'll probably be a question on the test about that, right? Now, okay, there also might be questions on the test as to why, you know, an expansionary fiscal policy is expansionary or a contractionary fiscal policy is contraction. Now, what I mean by that is this. Oftentimes, when we look at fiscal policy, we look at the impact that fiscal policy is going to have on the budget. Now, what do we mean by the budget? Well, what we say is this. We say, all right, the national government collects taxes and the national government spends, right? So when the national government collects taxes and spends, what we would argue is if it plans to expend X amount, and it plans to collect in income X amount, and expenditures are equal to income, right, then we say the budget is balanced. Now, if expenditures are greater than income, right, and sometimes this is put this way, if the level of government spending is greater than the level of tax collection, right, the level of government spending is greater than the level of tax, then we say that's running a budgetary deficit. Now, if the level of government spending is equal to the level of taxation, then we say the budget is balanced. If the level of government spending is greater than the level of taxation, then we say we've got a budgetary deficit. A budgetary deficit is expansionary. Right? A budgetary deficit is expansionary. Now, you say, what do you mean by that? Well, if you think about it, when government taxes you, they're taking $1 away from you that you could spend to buy goods and services, correct? You could spend it to buy goods and services, but they're taking it. Right? They take that $1 and they use it to buy goods and services. It's still generating economic activity. Well, if they take $1 from you, right, and they spend every $1 that they take from you exactly, that's a balanced budget. They take $10 from you, they spend $10 from you. It might be somewhat expansionary because some of that $10 they took from you, you might save, but we consider that to be a balanced